Chinese items you're having chili chicken, chicken 65, Singapore noodles, Chinese fried rice, Hong Kong chicken, Hunan chicken, chicken manchuri, gobi manchuri. Everything is there, sir. What do you want?
Terminal and a Quarter began in 1996. It doesn't mean we're very old, we're still in our teenage years. As a band, I think we're going through quite a bit of change and maturity and evolution and all of that. But I think that's been the story of TAAQ from day one.
When band names have to be formed, there's always this, I want it to be called this thing, somebody else wants it to be called that thing, and then we run out of time, and if we need to play, we need to call ourselves something, because if you don't call yourself something, people won't know what that thing is that is going to be playing wherever, and so we had to come up with a name, and it was like, I think in the last 30 seconds before registrations were going to close for a competition that
We actually came up with a name.
yeah, somebody, decided this is what it is. Actually, it was our original bass player,
And
Sunil
like many
Chandy.
things across the course of human history, it seemed a good idea at the time.
At that time,
So,
yeah. That, let's call this thing Thermal and a Quarter. And like, why? Okay, just call it Thermal and a Quarter. Fine, okay, let's go.
You worry about it. And if you forget where you're going, it's where you simply be.
Thermal and a Quarter was conceived in a bedroom, unlike most other bands which sort of attribute a garage to the place of their birth. We started practicing in Mr. Rajiv Rajagopal's bedroom. Rajiv here plays the drums, by the way. Back in the day, that time, we actually thought that egg cartons would do something to soundproofing. Actually, I think the only thing that they did do was make it sound pretty nice inside. I don't think any soundproofing actually happened, but we liked what it sounded like inside. When we sort of started playing instruments, one of the first things we wanted to do was write our own music.
If you're just replicating something, it would grow to a certain stage, but hit a ceiling pretty soon in terms of self-satisfaction as well as in terms of what the crowd wants. And today in all the cities, major metros in India, if you're a band, you have to play original music. People want to hear what you're about and not, the same old covers again and again and again.
I think we launched our website in 2000, which is like 11 years ago now, 12 years ago. At that point, we weren't really signed up with a record label. We're still independent, and we wanted a way to reach more people. And so our first album, it was called thermalandaquarter.com. We only had a limited run of CDs and tapes. On the tape, we actually had a little notice which said, please go and copy this tape, please go and copy this CD, give it to 10 friends. Okay, don't worry, we're not going to come and arrest you for copyright infringement or something like that. It was encouraging the spread of the music. A lot of people told us we were completely idiotic at that point to give away all the revenue you could earn from selling the music. But I think that was one of the best things we ever did in terms of distributing the music. And I think it allowed us to play a lot more because people who heard the music and liked it would call us to play gigs. It worked so well because in terms of timing, we had a little radio spot in the US on National Public Radio, which was a really big break for us at that point.
Never too late to shine. seasons change, rearrange. Guess you're doing fine.
I think back then again it was an insane thing to do. All our friends said, "You guys are nuts." But we wanted to do a gig, and it was also a meaningful gig in some way because the Kargil war had just happened, and we felt that as musicians, what could we do? So we said we'll get some money together, and and send it to the widows of people killed in the battle and so on. And we also wanted to play a gig, and we decided to take this venue in the middle of town, Ravindra Kalakshetra, and organize this entire show by ourselves. And we invested a fair amount of money, and our only hope of making it back was people coming. And it's strange in those days of no Facebook, no Orkut, no social networking, no radio, no TV, no nothing. It was just word of mouth and little black and white cyclo-style posters that we put up around town. And at that gig, I remember that we had over 1,000 people who showed up. Yeah. And I think we had 30 rupee tickets. Yeah. And, so we made 30,000 rupees, which was, I think, a lot of money in 1999.
Brown eyes, brown man, never mind the goatee. Oh yes, I'm from the exotic east. The heat, the dust, the burning of the beast, the smells, the spices, and the mystery of people trying, just trying to be.
Album 2 was called Jupiter Cafe, and I think it's a landmark for Thermal and a Quarter. It was the second album, and it's always a little difficult after the first album to come up with something that's, much more evolved in every possible way, in the compositions, in the recording, in the whole concept, as it were. And I think it still is our only concept album.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of songs that kind of tie into each other. There's a story. It starts off in one place and finally gets to the Jupiter Cafe in the end.
I think that whole album pretty much established that it doesn't matter that we might think in English or write songs in English or play so Western instruments. I mean, I don't know if any of that makes any sense anymore because the world is so mixed up. But I think we were ahead of our time at that point to see that the world is so mixed up.
After Jupiter Cafe and the first album, and things started getting addictive. That time onwards, we just continuously started writing music. We just kept coming into our studios. We got a better jam room, and we just started putting down tracks and tracks. And at one point, we had almost 25 songs ready. And one thing we decided was to just go and lay down all the tracks. We recorded all the songs, and somehow a set of 10 songs felt like they went better together. And there was a connect also between the third album and the fourth album, which Bruce can tell you
On
about.
Plan B, I guess the one song we'll have to play is the Paper Pulley, which is dedicated to the profession of music journalism. So it's based on a Frank Zappa quote, and it's still the one song that we have to play at every live gig because everybody seems to know it. Paper Pulley.
Just met this funny man from the funny papers. Is there any other kind? Said he hadn't heard much about my rock and roll band. So hoped he had a story in mind. He seemed indolent and carefree. Lit up a cigarette of Andy Lee. Some good publicity. We just all in the same game. We are. You need a rag to write for. You do. And I need one too to shine up my guitar. I do. Yes, I do. But tell me, do I really have to talk to you?
When we put down the tracks for Plan B, we'd already put down the tracks for This Is It. But we didn't mix and master them immediately because we wanted it to be the next level in terms of production and everything. So it took a long time. It took nearly, I think, 4 years before we got back into the studio to mix and master This Is It. And we did it in the grandest possible fashion. We got A.R. Rahman's studio in Chennai, AM Studios, and we brought down a Grammy Award-winning producer from California called Jeff Peters, and to mix it and sort of help us produce it as well. So we were going all out.
We just went, gave it all, and then that's, I mean, in a crazy way, it was called This Is It also. Like,
This Is It.
Man, let's throw everything in.
And the results speak for themselves because This Is It has often been called the best produced Indian rock album by any Indian band. Oh, the song from This Is It. I don't know, we like a lot of songs from that album.
Yeah,
One of the ones that comes immediately to mind is a song called How Can I Get Your Groove. It's a love song, and it's almost like a disco song, really. It's nice. Yeah, we should play it. Our first international tour was in 2006 when we went to the UK. We played a series of gigs in Glasgow and London. It was, again, a huge thing for the band to do at that time. When we went there was understandably quite a bit of curiosity. I mean, who are these guys? I mean, they look like they're from the East somewhere, maybe Indian, I don't know. There's so many brown people in the UK now, but it honestly made it was a huge thing for us to experience the fact that in a place like this, it just matters on the music you play. Nobody's looking at where you come from, what language you speak, are you Hindu, are you Christian, it's just, okay, you're on stage, man, you're going to play me something, and if I like it, I'll buy you a CD, I'll come up and shake your hand and say, wow, I had a really good night. You know, that's the way things work there. Jethro Tull was somewhat like the Deep Purple experience, but it had one big difference. I think in 2001 when we opened for Deep Purple, we were the classic, the opening act that nobody really knows about. Yeah, there's some band there, we're just waiting for Deep Purple, And I remember clearly when we opened for Jethro Tull, there were so many people right up in front who were asking for our songs.
And you remember, Bruce, actually we met Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull, and we got a lot of quality time with the guy, and he was like telling us how difficult it was for him when he took Jethro Tull to open for Led Zeppelin back in, I think in 1974 or something like that, when Jethro Tull wasn't that big and they were opening for Led Zeppelin, and what a rough time they had. And he was quite nice about it, and he said, okay, so you guys are going to be opening for us, and it's obviously, it's tough, but it was so nice when we went up, and the difference between the Deep Purple opening act and this was, as Bruce said, there's so many people asking for our songs also, despite the fact that they've come there to watch a great act like Jethro Tull. I think it was almost 30 years since they've been playing. So 15 years, rock band, Indian band, we're babies. Haven't even started, so long way to go.
He's rather small guy, so we might not have space for him in this frame, but let's welcome Mr. Prakash.
Hey.
This guy was a first call session bass player in Bangalore. Anybody from L. Subramaniam to Lucky Ali, if they want a bass player, Prakash was the man to call. And he played with really big guys in the south of India and elsewhere. He's done lots of international tours. He's played jazz, funk, rock, blues, pop, progressive, metal, Hindi. He can play anything,
Prakash didn't bring the textbook here. He bought the entire encyclopedia. And we're going one page at a time with it.
I've always followed Third and a Quarter from when they were Christ College A team. What really I liked about this band is from the moment go, they were writing original music. What happened was after 8 years of playing sessions, one day Bruce calls me and says, "You want to join a band?" And I was like, why not?
It's 1:30 o'clock in the morning. Woke up late.
The first single that we released with Prakash playing over it was, for which we also did a video, by the way, was Grab Me. We shot this whole thing.
Yeah, we bought our first camera.
Yeah, it was our first camera, and in fact, the first shot with that camera.
Edited.
We did the whole thing together.
I think we were also in a sort of a period of transition between our day jobs and doing music again full time, and so it's about that. It's about get me out of this thing right now. I want to do this, but I have to do this, and the usual thing that people go through when they're thinking of shifting careers or whatever it is. So it's about that. It's about that whole situation.
Never needed any joy juice to get high.
And the second one, which was more interesting, in terms of shooting, because we went to a fancy location and stuff like that, we shot the second one in Maldives.
If the ground is a hard place, stay above it. And if the sky is full of rain, the trees will love it. And if the journey takes too long.
It was one of my first tracks which I recorded with a bass solo. Yeah. And that was what was interesting from my point of view. And the song itself, lyrically, it's very nice. It's a very pleasant song.
When things are all messed up and that times are not always great, sometimes you just have to simply be and let things happen, and you pass through those things, and so
Be in the moment.
So that's Simply Be, and check out the video, yeah.
If your time has not yet come, then don't be late. No, don't you be late. And if your story has not been told, don't believe
One Small Love was perhaps our first real music video. Huh?
Yeah, and what a video. I mean, I mean, if we may say so ourselves, it was again done through pure love. It was friends helping out, saying that they loved the song is great, and out of a real issue that was happening in Bangalore at that point in time.
One small breath, one small word, one small man, one small space can be everything in a tired world. One small glimpse, one small truth, one small cry, one small change. The leaves they turn, and slowly I learn.
A girl was beaten up because she was found in a pub.
When we wrote the song, we didn't want to really make it like an angsty, anti-moral policing statement, because that just brings more attention to these guys, and that's what they want. So the song went the other way actually, and it spoke more about little things that we can do every day to make a difference in people's lives and so on. That's why it's called One Small Love. And it was a sort of different protest song, if you want to call it that. Another thing that we have done as a band is to set up a little space where we teach people to play music, and it feels like something, in some way in which we're able to perhaps pass on some of the things we've learned over the last 15 years of playing live on big stages and so on. It feels great. I mean, I personally enjoy it very much, teaching music, and it's just something that we do apart from playing.
One small light, one small darkness can be everything in this tired world. One small word, one small step, one small love, that's everything in a tired world, in a tired